Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another Historic Brawl gameplay video, and this time we are featuring an Ajani Nacatl Pariah deck. This is the last of our Modern Horizons 3 creature Planeswalker decks, and Ajani is a 2-mana 1/2 and it has when it ETBs you create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token, and then whenever one or more other cats you control die, you exile Ajani, or you may exile it and it comes back transformed. And its transform side is Ajani Nacatl Avenger. Has a +2 that says put a +1/+1 counter on each cat you control. Pardon me. A 0 that says create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. When you do, if you control a red permanent other than Ajani, he deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. And there's a -4 that says each opponent chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. The reality is, I think I've only ever used the 0. The +2 is decent if you've got a big board with a lot of cats. The 0 is where it's at, because if you have a red permanent other than Ajani, it turns into a really good removal spell or direct damage spell, because you can go face. I think Ajani is the second most powerful of the 5 planeswalkers behind Tamiyo. The numbers don't necessarily back this up. I can say if you watched my Grist video, the numbers at the end were a lot more favourable than they were when I was testing the deck. But I think Ajani is quite powerful. And I think one of the reasons why he is each of the other 4 planeswalkers or creatures require you to go all in on something to transform them. Rao, it's instant and sorceries. Tamiyo, it's card draw. Sorin, it's life gain. Grist, it's reanimation. And if you don't have those, or if they themselves aren't particularly powerful, or you don't draw into them, your card basically does nothing. Ajani is different. It doesn't require you to do anything. It requires your opponent to do something. You can do things, and we'll get to that in a second. But you can just build a very good white-red deck. And that's what we've done. We have focused on going as wide as possible, buffing our board and slamming in, and then transforming Ajani and using it 0 to create more creatures and deal damage. When I played Ajani in an historic deck, I did say one of the biggest issues I think with Ajani is there's no incentive for your opponent not to kill Ajani. If they've got a board wipe, then Ajani doesn't trigger because it's dead. If they've got direct removal, then why would they target anything else apart from Ajani? So the onus really is on us to transform it ourselves, and we've got some ways to do that. So very quickly, we have some ramp, Mox Amber, Arcane Signet, Ruby Collector's pretty good. It's an alchemy card. When you attack a 3 or more creatures, you conjure a Mox Ruby into your hand. So it's in our right colours, and it can pump our board as well. And so, yeah, so we have a number of cards that lets us sacrifice creatures, basically. Barrage of Expendables, Weaponize the Monsters, and Goblin Bombardment are all enchantments that let us sack a creature to do damage. Goblin Bombardment's the best because it doesn't cost any mana to sack the creature, whereas Barrage of Expendables cost 1 red and Weaponize the Monsters cost 2. Then collateral damage is basically a bolt, a lightning bolt, but you've got to sacrifice a creature first, so that's not too bad. And then Dark Dweller Oracle lets us pay 1, sack a creature, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So these are all ways that we can sacrifice a cat and transform Ajani. And with the case of pretty much all of them, in fact all of them, we could do it instant speed. Dark Dweller Oracle, you probably don't want to do it instant speed, but you can. So that lets us transform Ajani at will. So the rest of the deck is essentially tokens. We want to go wide as much as possible, and that's how you do it. So cards like Legion's Landing creates a token when it ETBs, and when it transforms into a land, we can create other tokens. Ocelot's Pride, a new very powerful card, can create a lot of tokens if you gain life. I really like Hanawir Militia Captain. It's a 2-mana 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 more creatures, transform it. Then it has power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. At the beginning of your end step, you create a token. A lot of these cards just create 1/1s or multiple ones, like Forbidden Friendship, 2 1/1 tokens. Otek Matter Weaver, whenever you cast a creature spell, can create a token. War Leader can create more cat tokens, which is also very synergetic with Ajani. Heroic Reinforcements can give our creatures haste as well when we create tokens. region. A Regal Caracal buffs our cats as a lifelink and creates more tokens as well. And Virtual Loyalty can create a token but also buff our entire board. We also have a few token multipliers. Anointed Procession doubles it. So does Mondrak. And here Tack triples it, but only creature tokens, which is all we really care about, really. Then we just have some more other cats. Leonin Vanguard's actually a really good card in the deck. It's a 1-mana 1/1, and beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures, it gets +1/+1, and you gain 1 life. So we can play a turn 1, Ajani turn 2, we have 3 creatures, it buffs itself for a turn, you gain a life. Pouncer's got double strike and a turn life, so you can come back as a 4/4 double striker. This is a great card as well to have buffed. Pride Mate goes bigger with gain life, and we've got a small life gain sub theme. Light Scribe, it buffs our entire board whenever we cast it into a sorcery spell. We don't have a huge amount of them, but it is a cat, and it is something your opponent might look at and go, oh, we need to kill that. Same with Lion Sash. Bit of graveyard hate, and we can cause it to get quite big or whatever we can reconfigure it onto. And we are quite a removal light deck as well, just because we are so focused on going wide and smashing. And obviously our commander can be a removal spell. So Source of Plowshares, Lightning Bolt. Galvanic Discharge is basically Lightning Bolt, but with energy. And in case of a Gateway Express, it can deal damage to a creature based on the number of creatures you control. And then once it's solved, it can buff our board as well. Speaking of buffing our board, we have some cards that are just big buffs. So Tangible Virtue buffs all our creature tokens and our Vigilance. We have a lot of creature tokens. Flower in the White Tree buffs all our creatures +1/+1, but legendary creatures get +2/+1 instead and have ward. So this is a great thing with Ajani, because it does make Ajani itself harder to kill, so maybe our opponent wants to kill something else as well. Immodane's Recruiter, when it ETBs, buffs our entire board by +1 and gains haste. So anyone who has played the Boros Convoke deck in Standard knows how powerful this can be. And what is cool is probably the best card in the deck, because one, it is a red permanent. We don't have a huge amount of them, but it's a red permanent that lets us use Ajani's Planeswalker as a removal spell. It buffs our entire board, but then whenever a creature ETBs under our control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So, you know, if we play this and then replay Ajani, that's 2 damage. If we have this and we do a Forbidden Friendship, that's 2 damage. If we've got any of our doublers up, that's more damage. And there'll be a very long game against Nadu in the video that you will see that it calls our opponents a salty scoop, even though they had 300 creatures on the board. I'm not exaggerating. They had, actually, I'm a bit, 250 creatures on the board. And they were at 1 life, and they couldn't. They knew what was coming, and they just salty rope basically. And then finally, just some general good stuff. Giver of Runes can give a creature control protection from colourless or colour of our choice. So a great way to protect Ajani. Guide of Souls, we gain a life and get an energy whenever a creature ETBs. We're going to have a lot of creature ETBs, and then we may pay 3 when we do put 2+1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature becomes an angel. In one of the games, we did this a couple of times on Ragavan, and once you've got a 3/3 flying Ragavan, it's quite hard to deal with. Squirrels, more protection. Walden, just a great card to have when we have a lot of tokens we can tap to buff it and scry. Commando's a really good 1-drop. Ragavan is Ragavan. And Raptor, we do have a small energy sub-theme with Guide of Souls and Galvanic Discharge, so this could be a way to get stuff in our deck. And nothing in our deck is massively expensive, so it's likely we're going to hit something. Welcoming Vampire will let us draw cards off our small creatures. Fable is just incredibly powerful. Flage as well, another new card. It's basically Lightning Helix on a 6/6. We do have to escape it for it to stick around though. Knight Errant and Venerated Loxodon are great Convoke cards because they can just buff. Well, Venerated Loxodon can buff almost our entire board. Knight Errant can get more creatures. And mana base is what you expect. A lot of red-white dual lands. And then we have all the standard fetch lands, so we can fetch Shock Land and Surveil Land. So that's the deck. As I said, I think it is almost the most powerful. It is slightly less powerful than Tamiyo, but it is a incredibly powerful deck. And it's a very fun deck to play as well. I hope you all enjoy it. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the gameplay. So against Nadu, which we are all aware of, but I'm an okay hand. We have a pretty decent curve, and we do have some removal, although it's not the best against Nadu. And we can potentially discharge our own cat. Actually, I'll probably just end up discharging the Mooing Cow, actually. Yeah, I can hold off Nadu, casting Ajani for a turn. Do they have a spell pierce? They do not. Get down Ajani, ping our opponent for 2, and then we'll get down the Vanguard. And we do have a lightning bolt up. And obviously swinging in our cat with our garrison cat. And hope maybe they block it. They do. We'll definitely exile Ajani. Create another cat. Do 4 to our opponent. And I won't worry about... actually, yeah. They'll just sacrifice a land, I imagine. But obviously it does set them back. And they can take out Ajani with Nadu. They do need all combat damage to a player to draw with Nadu, not a planeswalker. Oh, he doesn't have vigilance, and we've got a pretty decent board. Well, let's get down Ajani again. And we'll swing in for 8. They're going to have to... Well, I imagine they're going to have to charm. See, I think that while the Safekeeper is good value with Nadu, because obviously it counts as targeting creature with an ability, and obviously you only use it once your creature's already been targeted with another spell or ability. So you're getting 2 triggers essentially, but sacking a land, especially in the early game, sacking a land, especially in the early game, is quite damaging. Like they did. I don't think they hit a land off Nadu's triggers, which I know they're pain. You know, they're tapped out now. They are going to put a creature with mana value X, well, 2 or less, which means it's probably not that powerful. They're trying to get that value. Yeah, they're getting some blockers in with the Nantuko. So we're not out of this yet by any means, although we do just need a token generator, and they're going all in on trying to get these tokens. Or even a way to kill one of our own cats so we can go face with the Ajani's. We do have Essence Break as well. Also, they probably have a counter. But that's fine. Now they're hitting all their lands. Problem is now they've got Strict Serenade up and Essence Scatter. I don't mind if they counter this. I'd rather they have countered that than this. Well, there's another counter, but it's only for non-creature spells. But Flutter, Strict Serenade obviously can counter Ajani. Maybe Sylvan Safekeeper wasn't such a bad idea early on. They went from 2 mana up to 7. We know they have a counter. So next turn we can win, basically. Assuming they don't have lethal. Well, that's not what we wanted to see. Strict Serenade can't target enchantments. A land, an untapped land, might be able to do it for us. But we're going to be here for a while. Oh, they can just convoke for... 5, 11, 13, 15, 16. I don't know why they didn't just convoke for, say, a Crater Hoof. We need an untapped land. Or a 1 or 2 mana token generator, not a creature spell. Forbidden Friendship might do it. If they put the Legion's land in, that's good for us. Did they target their own thing? That's probably game because they've got Tamiyo safekeeping. They can cast that bounce Legion's Landing with Hullbreaker Horror. Maybe not. We'll see what we can do. Our opponent clearly cannot decide where to pull a +1/+1 counter when they have. It doesn't really matter. See, one of the issues with a Nadu deck, not the fact that it should be powerful, which it is the fact that it takes so long. You know, and they are deliberating over where to put things when it doesn't actually matter. Come on. Why is it taking them this long to figure out? Maybe they broke an arena with all the tokens. If they had started attacking earlier, they would have won. Well, that's an untapped land. I don't mind if they bounce Legion's Landing. I think that was the wrong move. Maybe. I think they're going to break arena though, so... So what we can do, play the War Leader's Call, and then create a token with a Danto. We just need our opponent to hurry up. Or they're going to time out. And it will auto-pass everything. Because the reality is... they need a counter for War Leader's Call. And Strict Serenade doesn't counter it. Problem is, they're breaking arena, basically. Arena does have a limit of how many tokens you can have. And basically, I think this is where it is. I don't think if they started attacking earlier, they would have won. Yep, I think Arena's broken. Because even their rope's not roping. Although he's doing something now. Or maybe it just stops making tokens. But he does have to go through all hundreds of triggers. Hey, there we go. I don't know why their rope went up at the top. They didn't have any timeouts left. I also don't know why it's taking so long. They just need to block 4 things with their 300 or so creatures. Or 250 or so creatures. All of which have indestructible. So, is this a salty rope? I'm surprised. But, you know, that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be when they only had 2 lands. But that is the power of Nadu. But what we would have done there is played out a command tower, played War Leader's Call, make sure that auto tap didn't tap Adanto the First Vault. Then we had enough mana to create a 1/1 token, and that would have caused War Leader's Call to ping our opponent for the final one. But our opponent decided that they didn't want to do that. They just wanted a rope like a child. So, you know, a good win for us. And they look really bad. Oh, a mono blue control counterspell deck. So this is going to be annoying to say the least. No white mana. So, yeah, that's this is better. We can get down the Vanguard turn 1, Ajani turn 2. And then go from there. See, there is a chance they have Wash Away. So we may just play the Signet or Intangible Virtue. But the reality is I don't think they're gonna play out Brawl until they have counterspell protection. Well, I think we try and get down the Matter Weaver. But let's see if there's a stick. Oh, there's a stick. Well, let's try and get down the Virtue. Obviously they're going to want to counter Ajani. Let's get a plains. Well, I think we go for Ajani. And, you know, we're going to need to get the counter spells out of their hand. We can immediately replay it next turn. Maybe I should have played Ajani first. Just in case they had something that... a conditional counter spell. I'm assuming they counter it, but at least it means... Oh, they don't. Well, we go for Ajani then. So we have a bit of ball presence. Obviously, we don't have a way to sacrifice a cat. But we're doing 7 each turn. Well, that's annoying. But not the end of the world. You know, we are hitting in for 7 each turn. They have 1 card left. What we might do is then go back, discharge our own cat. If it becomes necessary. As Canter's a bit of a problem. Unless we just try and take out Brawl to... Yeah, I'm really pleased with that and surprised. I think Control would have been one of the hardest matches to do. And I think even them attaching Glamdring, because it didn't increase its toughness, so they're about to block and kill something, but I think we still would have got there, even without our commander transforming. So really, really good. Oh, Voja. I hate Voja. It's such a powerful commander. We're on the draw. So turn 1 Giver of Runes, turn 2 Ajani, or maybe Sunset Revelry. They've got 6 in hand, we've got 7, so if we play Revelry, we will draw a card. Is that worth it? Probably. And next turn we can get down the Warden and Ajani.
Right beside me, brother.
Don't think we need another land. And we can keep up the Giver of Runes to give something protection. See, they need value from attacking, and that means we can block with our cat to transform Ajani. Oh no, we don't want to give it protection, do we? We want to transform. Although we have just drawn far too much land. Oh, I don't have a red permanent. That's irritating. do their removal. Oh, picked the wrong colour. Did it too early. Alright, that's game over. Up against a Traxxas, so a removal is going to be important. It's a pretty good hand. We can play Ruby Collector turn 1, turn 2, Ajani. And then Flage for some removal. Go on the draw as well. Hopefully we draw an untapped land. So next turn, if we attack with everything, we can get that Ruby Collector trigger. And then we'll get down the Light Scribe. So next turn we can get down O'Hare Tack. We cannot get down O'Hare Tack.
Nothing is more important than family.
Wow. They're not messing about. Wonder if they have an answer to that. We're drawing a lot of land, which we don't need. Phyrexian?
May our axes strike as one.
Next turn, the Fable will create 3 Goblin tokens. And when each one attacks... Yeah. That, you know, when decks don't really do anything apart from wipe the board, sure, it can be frustrating, but having O'Hare Tack to create 3 cat tokens from Ajani is just too powerful, I think. Turgid, so a sacrifice and discard deck, so it's basically an annoying deck. And we are on the draw. I think it's okay though. But I imagine a lot of hand disruption. Yeah. Do they take the wedding announcement? It's probably more powerful than the Legion's Landing. No, but they take a landing because it's the only thing we can play. Probably get rid of the horn. Let's crack this straight away. And get Sacred Foundry.
What a beautiful day, brother.
Yep. Next time we can replay Ajani. Could do with like a red permanent.
The hunt.
See if they get down Turgid. I imagine. She does have Menace. We can cast those at instant speed. And we'll get our... Oh, yeah, of course. It works with fetch lands as well. Didn't even think of that. Three, four, five. So we do need another land for Ajani.
Teamwork triumphs.
So... if Turgid's attacks, we can double block with the Loxodon and the cat. But we can start swinging in with the Adorn Pouncer as well. They can't do a lot. I don't know what the stick is. Probably activating Tyrant. We can hold up Lightning Bolt or raise the alarm. That's... Warriors calls a good draw, and it does give us a red permanent if we get around to transforming Ajani, which I'm not sure we will. Chances are this is lethal. Yes. Obviously a lot of removal from a mono black deck, although, well, I'm assuming they have sacrifice base removal as well, but they didn't really use it apart from Sheldred. But yeah, really good result from our end. Well, Goblin Bombardment is obviously very, very good with Ajani, and Warrior's Call is very good overall. And yeah, I think it's a good hand. We do need another white source for flowering of the white tree. So I think we play the Bombardment first. Well, I'm gonna fetch a white source. Play Flowering of the White Tree. They might have a counter. And then I will swing in with both. And doing 6 a turn, I might not worry about transforming Ajani at the moment. Next turn we can get them War Leader's Ghoul, buff everything else. Right, I'll do it now, just because next turn we're not going to be able to... We're not going to be able to attack. And we can start building up our board. Oh, it's not on May. Fair enough. Hit myself then. Well, that's annoying. But obviously we can replay it straight away. Well, let's get down the other line. And I say they are very close to dead. They, in fact, are dead. Goblin Bombardment doing the work without us actually using it at all. Hello, Magic fans, and welcome back to the wrap-up. So we played 10 matches with Ajani with a 70% win rate. And how does that match up with the rest of the Modern Horizon Series Planeswalkers? So, a lot better than Rao or Sorin. You know, worse than Tamiyo, and obviously Tamiyo and Grist do have the same win rate, but Grist was only 6 matches, and as I've said, the matches I played before recording didn't hold up to that win rate, so I think that is an anomaly. I think if we carried on playing, it would have got worse. So yeah, a really powerful deck. Look at the summary. We did beat Nadu, I think, just the once. And I think the other decks we just got ran over. Maybe things were a bit too slow. I can't entirely remember what ones they were. Yeah, so an incredibly powerful deck. And as I say, one of the reasons I like it, and it is powerful, is it doesn't really force you into a specific type of deck. You can go full cats. You know, we went partly cats, but really wide. And I think, you know, there was a game, I don't know if I'm going to put it into actual gameplay video overall because it was only a few minutes long. It was against a control deck and they countered a few other things, but then we ended up getting 6 power on the board across like 5 creatures, and they ended up scooping because chances are they couldn't deal with the board and they were going to die in a few turns. You know, it is that kind of power, and then, you know, if we did manage to resolve Ajani and transform it, we would just smashed our opponent. So it's also quite a quick deck. You know, this will be in the gameplay video. This is a Nadu deck that they salty scooped at the end with when they had 250 creatures. They should have won that quite easily. That's the only one that went really, really long. Everything else is quite quick. So yeah, a great fun deck to play. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.